Hello everybody and welcome to a new PI setup tutorial. I'm currently set up with an Interon. Just real easy to pop in a few command centers and go from there. I'm just going to do the basic setup. I'm currently set up out in nullsec right now. The process is the same. The only difference will be the quantities. If you're working in low sec or high sec, then the amounts that you're actually going to get PI wise are going to be significantly reduced compared to nullsec. Anyway, I've got a few command centers and some open space, so I will begin the tutorial. Try to keep this short and sweet because I know most tutorials, especially PI tutorials, people will try to do a basic setup, and next thing you know, it's a 3-hour video, and you're just like, why would I do PI? Anyway, we'll kind of get started here. First thing we're going to do is make sure you got the command centers that you're wanting. Each planet gives out different types of material, as I'm sure you've been able to figure out. What we're going to do is just set up a basic P1 output kind of a situation here. So first thing you want to do is open up the Planetary Interaction or Planetary Production right here. And that's what will bring this screen up right here. The reason this is useful is it lets you track what planets you can have. Right now I'm set up with, I can do up to 5 planets. On my main account, I can do up to 6, but for purpose of this, we really only need 2 planets. As you can see, I've also already got 3 planets set up. I just want to use those to kind of show you an alternative way to have your in-game setup depending on how long a time frame you want to have your PI running without you interacting with it. So in this case, we're going to be setting up on 2 barren planets. Already know what those planets are, been in the system for a while. So we go into planets. We're going to go to planet 9. And don't warp there because I've done that before. It's super annoying. And go to view planetary production. Looks like cratered little moon, all ugly little planet with a nice backdrop. Look at all that Amari backdrop there. Anyway, in this case, these here, what you're going to see on the no filter left portion are going to be the contents of the planet and what percentages of density there are. And like high sec, when I was doing PI and high sec, you'll see these numbers be way down. Like precious metals, pretty commonly, between 5 and 7%. But out here, as you can see, it's way more, 43%. So you're looking at the difference between high sec and null sec being pretty radical as far as what you're going to get production wise. In this case, we're going to start out with the base metal because what we're looking for is reactive metals. And as you can see, this is kind of what the densities are going to be. The darker the red and the closer to the white you are, the more dense the resource is. Now, when you're looking at this, a lot of people, there's kind of a lot of different schools of thought, but I like to look at it as, let's say something like this. I would probably want to set production up around here because we're going to have that density right there and over here. Point being, your PI, as you do it, and especially the more efficient you are at doing it, the faster this is all going to go down into the yellows and greens and eventually to where there's no material left at all. So to kind of reduce the amount of times per week that you have to jump or reset all your PI to get better outputs, I like to be in areas where when I have it set up, I can focus everything over here and then everything over here, then everything over here. So it could take up to a full week to completely deplete rather than having to change it around like literally once or 2-3 times a week. So let's go ahead and get this started. Let's just start it right here for something real basic. So now that you have an idea of what you want, where it's going to be, also you can use this little slide rule to really focus it on. This ability here that I'm showing you on the screen that's going to be based entirely on your sensing skills. So we'll check that just real quick. Go into the training queue if it ever wants to open up. Planetary management. Now in this case I've got advanced planetology 2 and regular planetology 4. So that's not perfect by any means, but it's reasonable, especially for what we're doing here. Those 2 skills combined will help you determine the focus of all the resources and density on the planet that you're working with. I usually try to keep it down here just so I have a little bit better idea of the distribution within the yellow. So then we go over to this little tab, the build tab, drop a barren command center. Now it doesn't really matter where you drop the command center. However, every time you go to a planet on this screen, on your planetary production screen, it's going to drop you right at that command center. So when you first start out, it's kind of a good idea to keep the command center roughly where you'll be able to see all of your stuff. Because eventually, you know, after a month or two of running the same planet, your command center is going to be over here and you're going to be way over here. You're going to be on the other side of the damn planet trying to get some materials going. Now, next thing you want to do is you're going to have to click on this and go to this little tab right here for upgrade. And you're going to need to upgrade that. In this case, I can upgrade it to 5 because I've got level 4 command centers. Level 5 command centers is good because it'll give you a significant amount more resources. But it's also, like, depending on what your skills are and what implants you have, that could be anything from 2 weeks to 3 weeks worth of training just for a little bump in those resources. And it's pretty, like, so far it's been pretty rare that I've even needed that. So once you get to level 5, usually that's fine. And the process we're going to do here is going to work really well at the level 5. Now you want to submit that. That way you already have the power in play. First thing you want to do is set up the extractor control unit. Now for right now, it's easy. Just put it, you know, where you're going to be able to have the most interaction. So if I put it right here, that means I'm going to be able to get anything in that circle. So I'm going to be focusing right here. And then as this depletes, I'll just be moving them over for, you know, every couple of days. So submit that, make sure that's there. Now something with PI, every little thing you do in PI takes resources from the command center, just like fitting a ship. So you want to try to keep things as compact as possible. What I'll do is I'll put a storage facility. A lot of people don't like doing the storage facility. They'll just do, you know, 2 launch pads. And it's not a bad idea, but if you're running low on resources, use that. You really only need the 1 launch pad, essentially, unless you're trying to do something different, which I'll actually show you with one of the other planets. Then do a launch pad, keep them all real nice and close together. Now from here, I'll go ahead and put connections to these. And the reason I do it like that is because you're going to need to upgrade one of these paths. It can be kind of hard to get when it's that close, but you want to upgrade this 1 time. Anything over that, you need to be getting like 4 to 5 million resources, which is kind of rare to get during a single pull. And then from here, we're going to do basic barren facilities. And I like to do it like this because we have more than enough to kind of sustain things. Usually if I'm pulling 2 million to 20 or 2,000 to 2,200 materials per pull, which I'll show you how that is calculated a little bit here in just a second. That's usually enough to keep all 8 of these factories going for anywhere from 18 to 20 hours. You'll want to come in or the way I generally do this, you'll want to come in every 2 days, 1 hour, 30 minutes. Anything over that and the extraction time takes 1 hour instead of 30 minutes. If you need it to be lower than that, if you just want to check it every day, you certainly can do that. But the maximum efficiency you're going to get is the 2 days, 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I'll show you that when we're setting everything up. So next thing you're going to want to do is get everything linked. So link that. Don't go more than 4 out from wherever your storage system is. So in this case, you could go from here out 1 more, but remember you're going to be gathering materials from this spot here on this storage unit. So you don't want to go more than 4 out of that. And besides, really, if you do it compact like this, you don't even need to worry about it. So now all those are linked. And as you see, they're all flashing red because nothing's actually doing anything. And when you come over here, you're going to see where the planet is non-active. Now it looks like my gas giant over here is active, but it's because I'm producing exclusively P2 material. So there's no extraction going on, so there's no power having to go to an extractor. So essentially nothing's shut off, it's just everything's waiting for material to go in. So first thing you want to do, get your extractor going. Keep this up here, and you have to click on the metal or the material trying to get, in this case, base metals. Move this up a little bit. Now, see, right now I've got it on 2 days. And if you bump it up 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Now, once you get to here, that's 2 days, 1 hour, 30 minutes. Anything over this in the extraction just goes up by the hour. So, boom. 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. What that does is just reduce the amount of productivity time you're going to get. Generally, I only do that if I'm going, like if I'm going to be gone for several days. I'll put it on for 3 or 4 days because you'll get a little bit more of an extraction out of it. But you'll even notice once you're setting up these guys here, get them going, your productivity ends up going down as they keep going. So the longer they go out, the more radical this switch here is. Get these kind of put in an area so you just kind of get an idea of what kind of resources are being pulled out of here. If at all capable, you want to make sure that they're not touching each other at all, and they'll let you know. So on this side up here, if you start seeing little red marks like this, where it says 8% and 8%, it's because these two here are touching. So you end up getting a reduced percentage for extraction because they're basically the extractors are competing for resources. Now, of course, this is not the most optimal setup, but you can see where you're still getting over 2.16 million, and that's going to be the full extraction amount. So it shows the average per hour is 43,000. Now, when you're looking at the P0, because that's what it pulls out initially, is P0 material. It's not the best material, so you need a lot of that material to produce down into the P1s. But I can show you here. So as we go back up again, see a totally radical change in how this is working. You see even these here are widened out because now they're extracting per hour instead of per 30 minutes. But in doing so, you're not getting there's not a huge corresponding amount that you're getting. And the further down the line you go, the less and less and less and less and less you're producing. Now, something else that's important to note is while this is happening, the extracting circles are getting larger. So whatever you've set up, as you can see, they're getting right here. There's a little percentage going in there. If you go all the way down here where it's 9 days, those things get huge and they're just constant static. And that's another one of the reasons why that's happening. There's less resources available in quintessential location everything has to be shared. So once you have to start moving these guys around, they're getting more into the yellow and the green areas, and they're just not going to be able to produce as much. And of course, the wider they are, the less effective. It's more of a surgical strike system that you want to use with PI. But you can get it right back down and go for boom and start extraction. Now you'll see here where it's got this little red thing saying not routed. That is something you want to remedy kind of quickly, especially since you're on a 30-minute time scale. Real simple way to do it, you go here to products, because nothing's in there yet, so don't go to storage or anything. You'll see this is what's going to be coming up out of the very first pull is 6,019 base metals. Click create route and put it into the storage, and then create route again. There's a lot of clicking going on, which kind of sucks, but supposedly they're working on that. They did quite a bit actually recently, and last big upgrade or update to help with that. It used to just be like you would even sneeze at PI and you had to click on it 7 times. But anyway, what's happening now is all the extracted materials, every time something comes out of the extractor, it's now going to the storage unit. Now from here, you're going to want to click on each one of these, and you have to do it every time. Go down to what you're looking for, and you're getting reactive metals, and you're going to install. So now you get it yellow, saying that there's a job that it wants to do, but you still have this screaming red little sphere saying, hey, there's no input, and that's what this is. First you want to go into products. That's what it wants to create. Again, not routed. So you're going to create route and put that on the launch pad. Create route again. And then you can go here. And you're going to want, again, initially you're going to go through routes because there's no material in there yet. Click on it, create route, go there, create route again. And now this is ready to go. So as soon as material gets put in here, it's going to go boop, boop, boop. So you have your multiple points of contact. This is your first, second, third, and fourth point of contact. And like I said, you don't want to go beyond 4 because it starts messing with things. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of fast forward just a little bit so we can get this going, and it doesn't have to be too long. Basically all I'm going to be doing is setting all the factories up to be doing the same thing. As you can see, we've got everything set up. The extraction is happening. Everything's routed. You'll be able to kind of get an idea of where, if the routing's working when all of the little blue lines are moving around all weird and stuff. And last thing you always want to do is make sure that you hit the implementation. You want to make sure that you get it going. Otherwise, you might back out and then have to completely restart. But it really doesn't take too long for the initial setup. The reason we do it this way is when you get on a planet, you want to kind of focus what you're doing per planet. You don't want to have multiple extractor heads because the extractor heads cost more than pretty much everything here. So if you look at the cost here, the power load is 2,600 and 400 in the CPU. Compared to the factory, not that much. Compared to the storage facility and the launch pad, I mean, really the launch pad is, and this is another reason why I prefer only 1, maybe 2 launch pads depending on the circumstance, is because you're taking up a lot of materials for those. So you want to try to keep that as minimal as possible. Now that's going to go through every 30 minutes, and as soon as material gets to here, it's going to route to all of these at 20th spot, and then once they're done, it takes another 30 minutes to an hour depending on the material you're using. They'll finish and they'll put everything here. Reason I like to do that is once you're actually out in space and you're ready to bring in your PI, you can just click on this, hit the little rocket, and all the material that it has in there is going to be in this side. You can just click on it, bring it over, hit transfer, and then it's in the customs office waiting for you. And similarly, when you're bringing material in, so say you're doing what I've got over on this planet, which is all T2 production, makes it pretty easy to just drop everything into the deal here, drop it here, transfer, and it'll automatically start taking that out. I'll show you another setup here real quick. And this is, I've got this set up for basically if I'm taking longer to do something. All the factories are set up, but in this case, it's 1 extractor and 4 factories are on just one of these launch pads. It's a little bit more clicking involved, but this is a setup that I use if I'm going to be gone for a long period of time. Reason being, if you're gone a long period of time, sometimes it gets too close to filling up just one. And if that happens, you end up, you could actually lose some materials while you're gone. So I kind of want to maximize that, and then I can put everything will drop from here into this, and then back and forth. Now you can use regular storage for this. I just use this particular setup because it's still efficient for my skills, and I can drop more material in here if needed. So I can, while this is extracting, I can drop a bunch of P0 material in here, let it go to all these, respective factories. So it's kind of a way to jumpstart your PI when you're just starting out. But that I'll do in another video. For now, this is really it. It's real basic, real easy setup. When it comes to PI, always know the longest part of your PI job is the initial setup. After that, it's a fraction of the time just to maintain. So with that, fly safe, and we'll get another video out for the next phase of the tutorial soon.